Lately I've been thinking about making another little zine, or I guess in this case it's more like a little art book. I'll show you some that I've already done. One of my favorites, filled a sketchbook in a week, and it was like a really mixed paper sketchbook, and I tried to replicate that, so I made little copies of it. And if you haven't seen that one, it's about this little cat astronaut, I guess, who builds a satellite out of junk and then travels to different places to try to find friends or people to relate to. It keeps wanting to focus on me. And this little sketchbook that I was using, that I had made myself, had different colored papers and stuff. So it had these vellum pages. I like the double-sided nature of it. It just makes it interesting. And all of the pictures in here I had done while I was camping, so it features a lot of the plants and a lot of the shapes that I saw. The view of us floating down the river, things like that. About loneliness, but also about just getting out there. Here he is radiating like the sun. Halfway through he takes off his suit, and it's only when he becomes vulnerable and is able to share himself with the world that suddenly the world responds to him. I wouldn't have had, photo references or anything to work from. I'm just kind of messing around. And also in a rush, because I was trying to finish it in a week. Because of the nature of the pages and the page count and stuff, I had to bind it in kind of a silly way, so I wouldn't do that again. I had the pages printed at a local printer, so this is a laser print, and then I bind it myself. This is a Birdtober zine, so that was when we did, a different bird every day. This one I printed home, and my printer has not been super great lately. I don't know if I want to keep printing this one. I really like this picture. Okay, this one's my second favorite so far. Sketchbook for a road trip. This is when, again, another thing where I took a sketchbook and I filled it, and then I sort of made a copy of it. The tools that I used when we went on a little road trip, and that's all that I brought was a sketchbook and a few pens and pencil crayons and watercolor. All the places that we saw, and added some text to go along with it to sort of just explain what I liked about our trip and any interesting factoids that we learned at all the different places that we went to. This one I also print on my inkjet printer at home. This is why I don't really list the zines that I make on Etsy, because the cost and the fees. Just an inkjet printer, I don't know if the quality is really good enough. Let me know if I'm just really wrong about that. And I cover it with this vinyl to kind of protect the cover from water, because the problem with inkjets is that they do bleed. So you don't want this to be anywhere near water. Not that you would want to submerge or get wet a book anyway, but we all been there. We've all done it. This one nobody likes, but I kind of like it. It's one of these accordion sketchbooks, and this one's sort of a little bit about agoraphobia. It's a fear of being stranded a little bit, so I equated it to an old story that imprinted on me about astral projection, where the only thing connecting your spirit to your body is this little gold wire, and you have to be careful not to sever it, or else you will never come back into your body again. I added a little poem in the back, and there's a pond, and they use orange for a little bit of anxiety. But anyway, that's the one. To print out copies of this and then glue them together perfectly is impossible. I can't remember how I did it. That's kind of the rub about motivation. Do I want to make a zine? Because no one seems to really like zines around here. So it's really better to be making them for my own interest if this is something that I really want to make. And I was thinking of making a zine about the city that I live in. I really like to draw and record things that I see every day that most people think are kind of mundane, but are interesting to me, because sometimes it's all you really have day to day, right? Is these mundane little moments that sort of refill your creative well. And so I wanted to make a little recording of images of different places in the city that are actually really nice, because I live in Surrey, BC, and most people in this area don't seem to like this city. It's kind of boring, visually uninteresting, I'm having difficulty envisioning what this project will look like. I'm going to collect some images that I think I might have that might already fit. It's going to be kind of a sketchbooky style, so it doesn't have to be finished paintings here. I wanted to list some of the most common animals and plants that you'll see just walking around the city. And I want to have some landscapes, but I also want to have some of like the city, noisy, dirty, grungy part of the city as well. I started with some interesting kind of like little ideas and sketches, and then it sort of devolved as our week got progressively more disturbed, I guess. It's been a very difficult week to get literally anything done. Monochromatic thing, because that is something that city just makes me think of. It's very concrete. And so I guess with this page, I was just kind of comparing like, traffic noise to like invasive European starling noises. I think I wanted it to be a landscape just for something different, I guess. That is the problem that I have with zines, is that I have images that I want to use, but then the actual structure of the booklet itself, like, am I going to have like a narrative? Just like commuting through a little area that's just malls and parking lots, and then seeing an eagle swoop down between the buildings and almost kind of crash into us. It was so low, but it's like, you don't really expect so much wildlife in such a gray concrete area. And I'm just, to get things started, I'm just focusing on creating the images that I want to maybe use. Maybe not even using them, but at least having something to kind of like pick through and move around and seeing if anything kind of goes together. So this is my first or 1B step after I have kind of an idea of what I want to have into it. I have made the most trashy copy of the zine out of random scrap papers, bills and things, and little sticky notes so that I can sort of peel them off and move them around just to kind of figure out, I need to know how many pages it's going to be. So later on when I design the page layouts and things that I need to like cut out, I will have this as kind of a map. Because I can't just say, oh, here's page 2 and 3, and then print it out and fold it and staple it. Like, it's not going to work that way, because this will be page 2 and 14 or something like that next to each other. So I have to be really mindful of how I'm going to lay it out. So this is my silly little map made of trash. Like my very first page, I wanted to start with a meme that I saw going around, which I thought was kind of funny. It's like the Lion King meme. What about that shadowy place? And it says, that's Surrey. You must never go there, Simba. And I just kind of wanted to redraw it so that it's in the same style. Just to have sort of like an instant relatable context. And on each one, I've sort of written down what the images are. Instead of going through and like copying, pasting, and trying to actually work with real images, I'm just using these post-it notes. I can just peel off the tape and move it to another page, and I don't have to like undo any work. I'm still not sure about how to end it. I'll also want to number all of these pages. Have something to refer to when I'm confused, because I will be so confused. Trust me. It took me forever to decide how to make the cover. It's not quite what I wanted, but I do like to have kind of like a wraparound kind of image. This one turned out to be kind of dark, so I lightened it up a little. And I will cover these with some self-adhesive vinyl to protect the ink. Yeah, and I've just been printing it on a border, so it's like slightly smaller, but for whatever reason I get the best color results with the border and telling it I'm using glossy photo paper when it's clearly not. I'm okay with losing a little bit of size. For the interior, I tend to use like slightly thicker paper. This is like 32 pounds, where standard copy paper is 20. It's just going to be just slightly nicer. A lot of the work in my little art booklet is going to be done digitally to put it together. I think it's an old version of Photoshop. And I think my original idea is I wanted to have these landscapes sweeping across the whole layout, like right across the gutter. And I wanted to add like little pictures of like the most common animals that I would see in all these individual places. And so as I'm piecing the birds on the pages, I'm noticing the background is a little bit too distracting. So this section of the project is the most difficult for me. What I ended up doing is scanning a piece of grid paper from an old planner that I liked, and I layered all of my little bird pictures onto that so that there was a non-distracting background for them, but it was still kind of interesting. More interesting than just a plain white page. I drew little sketchy looking boxes around each one to make it look a little bit like it was drawn directly onto this grid paper. And then after that, I brought the whole page into Rebelle so that I could hand write my titles for all these little, let's say, biome pages, and make it look like they were watercolored in, because that's what Rebelle is really good for, is imitating traditional media. Now there would be a bunch of different methods of arranging the pages for a booklet, especially when you have to print it yourself. I think there's a word for it called imposition. You can try looking for that. What I don't have is a publishing software, and there are a bunch of tools that will probably do this for me. And I think I could probably do this in like Adobe Acrobat or something, or some other PDF builder, except that I personally couldn't really figure out how to do it, only because I'm printing with quarter sheet sizes rather than one sheet folded in half. That kind of complicated it a little bit for me, but once I got into the process of this is actually quite easy. Regular sheet of copy paper, which is 8.5 by 11, it's divided into half lengthwise. First thing I do is I add a little guide at around 5.5 inches. That's right down the middle, and that will show me where my pages will be divided, and that's where the fold is going to be. And this is where my little trash booklet comes into major play. So you'll see that on the left I have page 28, which is the closing bio that I have at the end of my book. And I have page 1 on the right, which is the Surrey Lion King meme. Page 2 on the left, which is some intro text, and page 27 on the right, which is the pigeon truck. But when I print it out, page 2 has to be on the back of page 1. So I have a second document open for my second page. We'll print on the back of this one. And to make it easier for me, I'm going to add another layer and I'm going to draw right on there, 227. So when I'm bouncing back and forth between these tabs, I don't get lost. So with this one done, I can go to the next one, same thing, pull out this page, mount and fold on top, and on the left I have page 26, and on the right is page number 3, which was a pile of trash. So now I have my very first double-sided sheet to print out that is organized, that when I print it out this way I can cut it up and fold it and it will be exactly where it needs to be. So I'm going to save each of these files as page 001 and page 002. So now I have my second sheet of paper all arranged, ready to be printed. I'm going to flatten that. I'm going to save that as pages 003 and 004. And I'm going to make sure that I save them in the correct order. So here I've got my cover pages, and I'm going to use this self-adhesive vinyl to kind of protect it from things like water fingerprints. It's not waterproof. And I'm going to cut this in half just because it is kind of difficult to do this without getting air bubbles.